Hello, I'm Anshu Sharma. Today's topic is Human Mind Model. Understanding the workings of our mind helps us in many ways. It helps us in ascension when we get our conscious awareness and we get the control over our mind. People confuse brain with mind. Brain and mind are different to each other. Our brain is physical, but our mind is not physical. Our brain is limited while our mind is unlimited. Easiest way to compare brain with mind is with the computer. Our brain is the hardware, whereas our mind is the software. Mind makes up our thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, memories, and imagination. So, broadly, we can say we can divide mind into two parts. One is the conscious mind, the other is subconscious mind. And in the middle, there is also a critical area of the mind, which sorts of separate conscious mind with the subconscious mind. Critical area of the mind acts as a filter. Part of the critical area is conscious and part is unconscious. Now let's start with conscious mind. Conscious mind forms around the age of 8 and 9. It makes about 10 to 12% of the total mind's capacity. Its functions include logic, reasoning, decision making, willpower, and analyzing. Also, thinking. Through this part, we feel and control our body actions. More consciously we use this part of the mind, more conscious we become. Our spiritual journey entails the rise in our consciousness. So, more conscious we are of the mind, more things come to our awareness. Whenever we make a choice, we use discernment. We make a decision, we use our willpower, or we use logic. In all these situations, we are using the conscious part of our mind. Now on subconscious mind. The rest 88 to 90% of the mind is subconscious mind. It stores all our experiences and controls our involuntary actions. Subconscious mind is our unconscious mind. It exists and it always is working in the background. But most of the people are not conscious of its working. Primitive mind. It is our deepest unconscious mind. It is the deepest unconscious mind of subconscious mind. It is connected to our primitive brain, which is called the brain stem. Primitive mind is incapable of producing complex thoughts and complex decision making, but it can detect targets and make specific choices. It basically reacts by instincts. Instincts are our repetitive behavior. primitive mind responds to flight or flight mechanism. Either when this mind is triggered, either we run away or we fight. So emotions connected to our survival state reside in our primitive mind. Primitive mind is connected to our brain stem. This part of the brain connects to the spinal cord. Involuntary functions of the body, which are automatic and take place without our conscious involvement. So brain stem, which in turn is connected to the primitive mind, controls our involuntary functions, which are basic to all animals and also to human beings. These basic survival functions are heart rate, breathing, digesting and sleeping, besides other circulatory functions which keep going on within our body. It is the lowest, most primitive area of the human mind. Our immune system lies in the primitive portion of our subconscious mind. Most people are not conscious of the subconscious mind and also of the primitive mind. Our survival. All those actions that are necessary for our survival are stored in the primitive area of the mind. For example, when we are hungry or thirsty or we are unwell, then this area brings awareness to the conscious mind and tells the conscious mind, do something. The body is thirsty, hungry or is unwell. So it is always working in the background. Repetitions. All those actions that we have repeatedly done are stored and retrieved from the lower portion of the subconscious mind when needed. It is like on autopilot, like a signal to drink coffee or tea. If we are regularly habitual of drinking coffee or tea in the morning, we just put our kettle on without thinking. So all these repetitive actions are stored in the subconscious mind. Some repetitions which we haven't used for some time, they also lie in subconscious mind as impressions, waiting to be triggered and used when they are needed. For instance, once we have learned swimming and cycling, we never forget it. Even after many years, whenever we do swimming or cycling again, the impressions are triggered and the learning is awakened into our conscious mind. In short, nothing is forgotten. Now let's talk about the nature of the subconscious mind. Like our conscious mind, subconscious mind does not have intelligence. So it cannot decide or discriminate. Whatever is coming in our subconscious mind is taken as truth, accepted and stored. The functions of subconscious mind is basically to store and retrieve data. Its job is to ensure that we respond exactly the way we are programmed. Our subconscious mind contains instructions. For instance, if your program says that you must have dinner by 8 p.m. and when your dinner is not ready, then you will get upset. So you will always be upset unless you change this program. And you can change this program, you can change the instructions, and you can say that I expect my food to be ready on the table by 8 p.m. But if it is not there, then I will not get upset. Then you won't. Besides this, there is a master program in our subconscious mind. This master program is consistent with our self-concept. Our subconscious mind makes everything we say and fits our thoughts, emotions, experiences with this master program. Whatever we do, all our thoughts, emotions, and experiences are the subconscious makes all our thoughts, emotions, and experiences in sync with this master program. For instance, if our self-concept defines us to be a victim or a slave, then all our memory, associations, and others programs try to fit into this master concept of ourselves. For instance, if one time you miss your train, then this master program will all the thoughts and memories and try to fit into this experience. And you might say, oh, I missed the train. It always happens to me. I always get upset. Why these things happen to me? So this is how the associations work. Now, if we define ourselves of a particular nationality or a culture, then everything fits into this concept, whatever we do. So we can say, for instance, I'm a Mexican, this is my culture, this is my food. And that's the way I behave, that's the way I live. So besides that, there are various functions of subconscious mind. Let's discuss them one by one. Long-term memory. Long-term memory entails all our knowledge, associations, and responses, also positive and negative experiences, and all our beliefs. The subconscious mind is like a big memory bank that stores all our beliefs, memories, and life experiences. Not only the experiences, but also the various associations as well. Like for instance, seeing an old photograph of yourself, you remember not only that particular experience when the photograph was taken, but all those related experiences as well, such as who was with you, what were you doing, were you happy, were you sad, and so forth. Different people can have different associations with the same experience. For example, looking at a dog, a man who has grown up with a dog will bring up positive emotions in him. But another man who has been bitten by a dog will bring up all those negative experiences and might even run away. So it stores our memory from our inception, from our birth up until now, everything is recorded. Besides that, subconscious mind also includes our primitive memory that lies dormant, including our genetic heritage and all that ancestral karma and evolved learning and conditioning. Everything is recorded in subconscious mind, but we are not aware of it. It stores all our experiences, whether they are positive, negative, or neutral. We take cues from the external world, we associate them, and then we respond. All those associations come from subconscious mind. For instance, when we look at someone, we recall and we may say, "Oh, I saw you on the train station the other day." So all that memory and associations with the train and recognition of that person is immediately recalled and brought up to the conscious mind. Based on our early memory, we respond either positively, negatively, or sometimes in a neutral way. Or sometimes we may not even choose to respond. Triggers and responses. Triggers and responses make our behavior. Sometimes triggers and responses make our behavior very predictable. And sometimes our friends and family know us from these triggers and responses. They understand what triggers us and what our response would be. For example, when we look at our favorite food, we start salivating. And sometimes when we look at some bitter experience or some bitter food, then we may stop for a while. So that reaction which was favorable is not so favorable when we look at something connected to which we have had an experience in the past which was not favorable. Understanding the nature of the mind is very helpful. Because we proceed, we learn, we can bring bitter memories back on the surface from our subconscious mind. And now in the present moment we can resolve them. This is what spiritual, conscious people do. We can bring up the associations and in the present de-associate them. Now on conscious values and principles. So conscious values and principles are also stored in our subconscious mind. Conscience is an inner sense of what is right or wrong in one's conduct or motive. It is actually a set of instructions we have kept in our subconscious mind at some point in our life. It also contains moral and ethical principles that control or inhibit our actions and thoughts. For example, when we see someone beating a dog senselessly, our conscience is triggered and we often jump in to protect. This happens under the direction of our conscience. Subconscious also houses our values and principles. We participate or refrain from an activity depending upon what we value or what our principles are. People valuing justice and integrity generally cannot be bought with money because they give more value to their principles than they give value to the money. If your values say drinking alcohol, abusing women and children is not good, then you wouldn't do it. Personal security and protection also lies in subconscious mind. Based on our past experiences, information about our personal security and protection is recalled. And based on our past experiences, it is held. Based on our present need, that information is recalled. Sometimes, even before we become consciously aware, it warns us about impending danger. For example, we all would have experienced these warning signals from our subconscious mind sometime or the other time in our life. We take a turn just before a speedy car crosses. We get warnings about what to do, what not to do, what to eat, what not to eat, whom to meet, whom to avoid, and based on our intuition and gut feelings, all these instructions as warnings come at the time we need them. Our emotions and feelings are also held in subconscious mind. We remember the pleasurable feelings and we avoid remembering the painful emotions because we just discussed that subconscious mind also protects us. So sometimes if those memories of those painful circumstances are too much for us to handle or we are not equipped to handle, subconscious mind will bury them underneath and will not bring them out to our conscious awareness till we are ready and we are ready to deal with it. Children bury their emotions very often, especially when they are under abusive circumstances, because they are not equipped to deal with it. Habits, relationship patterns, and addictions also lie in subconscious mind. What we do consistently form our habits. Repeated habits form mental patterns called samskars. These mind patterns are very strong and can be both positive and negative. They get imprinted in our energy body called souls. Unless we address and balance them, they repeat themselves, life after life. For example, people who have a greedy, angry, or a lustful personality stay with their nature life after life till they address and balance it. This is one of the reasons why we should know how our mind works so that we can get the mastery of our mind. We do not wait life after life inviting similar situations and remaining in those painful circumstances. All our habits, relationship patterns, and addictions are stored in subconscious mind. The force of habit is very strong. That is why we make a resolve every day and say, for instance, I will quit smoking or I will eat so and so food right from today. But we do not follow our resolve through. It is because the impressions of our habits are stored in subconscious mind and they are very strong. They are not easy to change merely by wishful thinking. In order to store new habit patterns, we need to practice them over a reasonable length of time. They say it is for a minimum of 40 days we should keep repeating a new action for it to become a samskar or a deeper mind pattern. Then we will not be needing our willpower as much. It will become our deep habit. Our subconscious mind is like on autopilot. It has been programmed to follow a specific route, and you cannot deviate from that route unless you change the directions of that program first. But once we become conscious, we can change our programming. And this changing of our programming is called awakening. Creativity is another feature of our subconscious mind. Creativity is an act of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. Creativity is characterized by the ability to perceive the world in new ways. We perceive and look at the world in new ways, and we start looking at the hidden patterns. We start making connections where between seemingly unrelated phenomena, and based on this new information of creativity, we can generate solutions. This creativity lies in our subconscious mind. For example, instead of getting upset on our failure, which we have been doing up till now, we can see our failures as opportunity to learn, to pay more attention. This is creativity. As we access more of our subconscious mind, we can be highly creative. And we can reprogram our mind, we can change our blueprints. So, our blueprints for life scripts dictating our development stages also lie in our subconscious mind. There are instructions called blueprints written in subconscious mind. Following our blueprint, our body grows and we experience life. Subconscious mind creates necessary situations so we can follow a design or a pattern held in our mind. So nothing is by chance. Everything is designed and planned before we take birth. And our mind, subconscious mind, holds all those blueprints and the instructions. As the situation changes, our conscious mind brings it on the surface and helps us in our growth and meeting the challenges of our life. Spiritual connections and perceptions also lie in subconscious mind. When you have an emotional connection with someone, it means you are attracted to him or her in more ways than they look on the outside. When you have a physical or emotional connection with someone, that's when a powerful relationship, maybe a romantic relationship with someone can form. All guidelines from casual to deeper connections lie in our subconscious mind. Our initiations also lie in our subconscious mind. All information about the events deciding your situations, your initiations, and its timing, at what time you should be initiated in your life, is held in the subconscious mind. Initiations are new beginnings, new seeds, new thinking, new opportunities, and new way of living. Now, how do we access subconscious mind consciously? We can access our subconscious mind through meditation or relaxation. It is then we become aware of its working. Primitive mind of the subconscious mind is our deepest unconscious mind. But even this can be accessed when we lower our brain waves. There are some people, especially yogis, they have been able to lower their brain waves to delta brain wave frequency and have been able to access this unconscious mind, which is our primitive mind. Now let's come back to the critical area of the mind. We have already discussed that this area of the mind acts like a gatekeeper or a filter. As we grow, information load increases and information also becomes complex. This area of the mind filters all the information. It decides what or what not to allow to pass through to our subconscious mind. There are rules. Some of these rules we make. Some of these rules are handed to us by our parents, friends, and society. These rules or beliefs act as filters. So anytime a new information comes in, it is checked, and whatever is in alignment with our rules and beliefs is allowed to pass through this filter. And then the information gets stored into our subconscious mind. Rest information is reflected back. We either ignore it or we do not attach any value to it. That is why we only hear what is in sync with our beliefs, and most of our beliefs are handed down, as we have discussed, by our parents, families, and societies. If we believe that for instance, if we believe that we are no good in sports or business, then we won't be even open to listening to any information connected to either sports or business. We may not even try it. We become very selective in the information we choose and allow it to pass through. This area, critical area of the mind, forms when we are of age 8 or 9. This area of the mind is part conscious because it is connected to the conscious mind, and it is part unconscious because it is connected to the subconscious mind. It contains short-term memories for approximately 24 hours only. Anytime a suggestion is given to us that is detrimental to our well-being or in total opposition to our beliefs is rejected by critical mind. Critical mind filters message units and accepts or rejects them from entering into the subconscious mind. Too many message units mean sometimes critical area can't filter them. There's too many messages for it to handle. So critical area becomes overwhelmed. It breaks down. When it breaks down, these filters sort of drop. And then the messages directly go into the unconscious mind because there is no more protection available, and directly our unconscious behavior gets triggered, which is which activates our fight or flight mechanism. And we come into a state of hypersuggestibility. In hypnosis also it's the same. And then we say, I am overloaded, I can't handle it anymore, I am stressed, I need to sleep. We come into this flight or flight mode, we become anxious, we become sad, we become depressed. Many times we just surrender ourselves without a fight to the situations. And it is certainly not for our benefit. A little bit fight for our self-protection is built in our system, in our subconscious mind. We cannot let people, situation and circumstances overpower us against our wishes. But sometimes it happens when the critical area breaks down. This is the time when we wish to either escape, fight, or sleep. Sometimes we become so anxious that we can't even sleep. At this time, we cannot process or filter any information. Understanding the nature of our mind is a part of ascension, so that we become careful, we become conscious of our daily energy expenditure and not allow ourselves to be under situations where we get stressed out, where we drop our defenses, where we don't even protect energy, we don't even have energy to protect ourselves, where this critical area of the mind collapses and we become vulnerable for others' suggestions. Now let's understand message delivery and information retrieval, how that system works. Conscious mind retains and remembers the events and feelings for approximately 1.5 hours only. The important messages, all these messages are kept in the conscious mind for maximum a period of 24 hours only. That's why we say I put it into my short-term memory. If we put in our short-term memory, then we can decide, okay, I want this information is important to me and I want it to go and put into subconscious mind. And some information, if it is very important to us, it's a good idea to write it down. So it is held here for maximum 24 hours. And at the same time, we can only process 5 to 7 bits of information at one particular time. Operating through our conscious mind, we are active. Our brain, at this time when we are operating through our conscious mind and we are doing hundreds of things, doing shopping, cooking, writing or speaking, then we come into the beta brain wave state. We'll talk about brain waves in some other talk, but at this time when we are active and when our conscious mind is active, our brain produces beta brain waves. Now, where does our conscious mind gets information from? All this is related to ego and other structures we'll be talking about in other talks. Our conscious mind gets information from our environment. For example, we say it is hot, it is cold, it is humid, it's raining. Our conscious mind also gets information from our body, from our senses, what we feel. So we tell to our conscious mind that this is body's feeling. I am feeling thirsty, I am feeling hungry, I am feeling stressed out. All these signals from the body, from our external and also from our internal senses go to conscious mind. Besides that, we get information from our consciousness as well. Consciousness includes all our knowing. So from our thoughts and emotions also information keeps going to the conscious mind. We tell our conscious mind, these are the thoughts I am feeling. We not only pick up our own thoughts and emotions, but we pick up the thoughts and emotions of other people as well. So the conscious mind is forever getting that information. Our conscious mind is also getting the information from our subconscious mind. So many information like what we have just discussed, it comes from our subconscious mind, from our memory, from our habits, from our mind patterns. What we all discussed, this subconscious mind is forever giving information to our conscious mind. Because subconscious mind doesn't act. It's the conscious mind which has got the intelligence, it delegates our body to act. But based on the information we receive, the conscious mind receives from subconscious mind and from our outer world and our senses. Critical area, middle one, as we have discussed, acts as a filter. This area is part conscious and is part subconscious. Why? Because as information comes in through our conscious mind, it evaluates on a conscious level. From both the sides, information coming from conscious to subconscious or coming from subconscious to conscious. Who is evaluating? It is that critical area of our mind. So it decides that what do we accept or how do we act right now, what should we avoid that is critical or threatening to us. In times of dangers, this is what is filtering this information and bringing it to our conscious awareness. The information what is not needed coming from outside is reflected back. So in a normal day, message units enter the conscious mind first and then they pass into the conscious portion of the critical area. Now these accumulated messages are immediately dropped into the subconscious part of the critical area first. Here the critical mind analyzes them. And some are allowed to go into the subconscious memory and others are discarded. Either through conscious omissions or through dreams. As we have discussed, we receive an overabundance of message units. Then at those times, critical area can't function as it should and we are unable to sleep or escape. And at that time, we come under the state of hyper suggestibility and also anxiety. At this time, the critical area becomes less critical and starts dropping messages without evaluating them. Now we are talking about evaluation. Critical area otherwise evaluates and filters the messages, but it can't do it effectively, efficiently at this time. So this happens when we get lost in the experience of watching a movie. or sometimes in a experience of either very painful or joyful states also we lose ourselves. When we say we lose ourselves in that experience, what we mean is this critical area drops its guards. The movie is not real and we know it, yet we cry or laugh. This state is suggestible state. When we are into hyper suggestible state, then the media, TV puts subliminal messages in our subconscious mind. A suggestion given in the hypnotic or hyper suggestible state is much more stronger when it is given in the conscious state, because it moves very quickly without any defense or fight from critical area to the subconscious memory, and the information has not been diluted, analyzed or defended. So this information, this suggestion can quickly become our permanent habit. Once a permanent habit is registered, we need constant willpower and motivation to dilute or finish it. So that constant, otherwise any information which is coming from our conscious mind, our willpower is needed and our motivation is needed for that habit to become permanent in subconscious mind. But in this state, because there is no guard, it goes straight in, it becomes our permanent habit. Sometimes these habits are against our goodwill or against our benefit. So this state of hypersuggestibility can be utilized in both ways, positive or negative. Subliminal messages are placed in people's subconscious mind through TV, media and movies all the time. But on the positive side, now that we have known how our mind works, we can also put positive seeds, positive habit seeds in our subconscious mind through meditations and sleep states. The message units are carefully collected, stored in subconscious mind. It's like a filing cabinet. All information is stacked and stored like in a library for easier and quick retrieval. And more practice we do to retrieve this information, the easier it brings to us. That is how during exam time, a student who has practiced more in learning and stacking this information at the time of examination can quickly bring it all out. Their retrieval, however, becomes slower, as we have discussed, when we are under some sort of emotional pressure. When our minds are not clear, this information is accessed at a faster, is not accessed at that faster rate which wish it should. But when our minds are clear, when we have handled our emotions, when we think positively, we feel rested, our guards are up. When this happens, when we are a happy and vigilant state, we are alert, then we get information from intuitions and inspirations. And all these messages are very clearly received by us. During conflicts, what happens? Our conscious mind and subconscious mind is not in sync. Or we can say conflicts happen because our conscious and subconscious mind are not in sync. When we receive some information outside and our subconscious mind is saying something else, so they remain in conflict, and that's how we remain into conflict with external circumstances. On the other hand, when both the minds are in sync, then we remain happy and joyful. In spirituality, we become conscious when these minds are in sync and when they are not in sync, and we do something about it. Now, a little about brain waves before we wrap up. When we are operating through our conscious mind, our brain waves are in beta state. Our brain generates beta brain waves. When we want to access our subconscious part of our mind, then we can reduce the frequencies of our brain waves and take them lower to alpha or theta brain wave level by relaxation and by in silence and also through meditation. We can further access the deepest unconscious part of our subconscious mind by reducing these waves even further to delta brain waves level, and we can get conscious control over our immune system, our autonomic nervous system. In those areas also we can get control, which are involuntary in nature. So now that you have understood how our mind works, we can take some measures to master it. Understanding how our mind works makes you understand the inner dynamics. Having a visual picture like this helps. These inner dynamics happening within need to be understood in order to become more conscious. We will be using this model of mind again as and when we take up other subjects and we explore conscious, superconscious states and how the subtle organs of our senses work, how our ego operates. So this is just a starting point. Hope this talk has helped you. Thanks for listening.